I think that the NFC is very wide open for a team like the Seattle Seahawks, and specifically a team like the Seattle Seahawks. And like, we're not the Eagles level, we're not the 49ers level. I'll say those two things right now. But let's say you go to this draft, you get a defensive lineman or a edge rusher, someone like a Will Anderson or a Jalen Carter. You pick up the third wide receiver. We need the third wide receiver. D. Eskridge has not worked. We need a third receiver. It doesn't have to be a super legitimate, but whatever we have is not working as number 3. You can pick up a center in the draft, or there's another thing that I feel like no one's considers in our offseason ever is there's a thing called free agency in trades. If the Seahawks feel like they're right there, they might make a big trade for a center, or they might make a trade for a third receiver that fits, or another corner that's good, or a linebacker that's good. So if they have only a couple
pieces, they haven't been very good at that, though. I feel like in the trade market.
I know it's like Percy Harvins and
Jamal Adams. Yeah, but I mean, Jamal Adams, I feel really bad saying that because I like Jamal Adams and I think he's a great talent, but he just hasn't been healthy. But we pick him up next year. We are, in essence, we do have 2 first-round draft picks, but the actual bringing in Jamal Adams is like you're having another first-round draft pick because he's that caliber of talent.
Correct. And when he's playing aside a top 5 safety in Quandre Diggs, I mean, Quandre Diggs was voted in the Players All-Pro. You know, they did that this year, how they did NFL players voted for All-Pros based on your position and the position you go against. So corners and receivers voted for each other, which is really interesting. Nose guards and centers voted for each other. Cool. But Quandre Diggs was a top 5 safety in the Players All-Pro. Jamal Adams, who's a better player than when healthy Quandre Diggs. That's nothing against Quandre Diggs. He's great, but Jamal Adams is all pro caliber, you know, there's a reason he got paid 15-20 million a year from the Seahawks. You're right. That is getting a top 5 draft pick and picking a guy like Jamal Adams if he stays healthy. On top of that, you have to consider the draft picks, George, from last year. Kenneth Walker, Tariq Woolen, Abraham Lucas, Charles Cross. If they're doing things the right way, they're only supposed to get better. That's another, we're not talking about guys that are in his 30s, are there declines coming soon? We're talking about players who we can look at and say, I mean, if you're the player we think you are, you're absolutely supposed to be better next year. So that's 100%. Another exciting piece to it. And that's why I think the Seahawks, they're going to be good, man. I think I'm going to go out on a limb here and take a wild guess of where they finish in the NFC. And as of right now, I'm going to guess that they finish 3rd in the NFC next year.
Okay, so they win the division, or they finish behind the 49ers? Because there's that's the big question.
I know, that's the problem. If they don't win the division, they have to be 5th.
Yeah, so you can't.
Okay. I think they're going to finish with the 3rd best record in the NFC.
Okay.
The 49ers still have a better record.
Yeah, and that might fall to the winning the division, or it might fall as the 49ers winning the division.
Yeah, so I'm saying we're either going to be I think the 49ers and Eagles, again, will have a better record than the Seahawks.
Those are the only 2 teams I can definitely look at here before, right now, and say I know for, they're going to be better in the Seahawks next year.
Yeah, because the NFC South, I'm not worried about. NFC East, I mean, we beat the Giants this year. I think we beat the Jets this year too. We beat the
AFC, the Jets.
Sorry, I was thinking about the Commanders.
The Commanders.
I'm not worried about them. I mean, I think they gave up on Carson Wentz as well. And then Green Bay, we don't even know what's going to happen. And still, they didn't even make the playoffs this year. Detroit's going to be good. Now, I don't know what their ceiling is, but Detroit's going to be up there too. But I think the Seahawks are going to fall somewhere in that 3rd or 4th best record in the NFC next
year.
It.
I love it. I'm with you on that for sure. I think this team is building it the right way. And honestly, you could tell me they have the best record in the NFC, it wouldn't completely and utterly shock me.
I'd be a little shocked because 49ers and Eagles have a much better roster.
But then again, the 49ers, we don't know who their quarterback's going to be. So at least we have that going for us.
I mean, yeah, Shanahan's been pretty good at figuring that out. But
has.
But you never know. I feel like the 49ers have a lot of up, down seasons. Number one. Number two is the Eagles. whether it's the win the Super Bowl hangover or lose the Super Bowl hangover, you never know how that affects a team as well.
Exactly.
Coordinators move on very quickly when you win a Super Bowl or lose. When you make it to a Super Bowl, a lot of coordinators are gone. A lot of players go for bigger contracts. We've seen it with our Seattle Seahawks. It happens all the time.
Absolutely.
Well, we kind of talked about the second topic, which was what are the expectations for next year. That was we found a way to mix them in together perfectly. I'll just finish off with a couple things really quick. And for those listening, it's a quicker podcast today because we're doing a little Mariners and Seahawks, both of them, and off season's coming, so we're gonna have to come up with a lot more creative ideas here for the next couple weeks. One last thing for me, George, is right now with that number 5 pick in the draft, just top of the head, top of the dome, whatever you want to call it. What do you want? Like, what's your position?
I want to trade it for more first round draft picks and just like maybe we can get 2 of them or a first and a second and just keep adding pieces.
Okay. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Here's my idea. If Jalen Carter somehow falls, you take Jalen Carter.
Yeah, I'm just assuming he's going to be taken before that. That's why.
Me too. But you never know. A quarterback and 2 quarterbacks can be taken in that top 5 in like weird occurrences that you don't like, the Trey Lance situations, right? Those type of things. And then a team that doesn't need that piece, it like randomly takes a offensive lineman that's the best in the draft, and then somebody takes a corner, and then you're like, well, that was weird. Carter fell to us. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm saying that it does happen, right? So
absolutely.
But I'm with you. If it doesn't happen, trade back, get two picks in the top 20.
Yeah, all this, and then have 3 first round draft picks. That's what the Eagles did. The Eagles had a bunch of draft picks 2 years ago. Now they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's how you build it. I mean, it's how the Seahawks built. It wasn't just off first rounders, but the Seahawks built the 2013, 14, 15 dynasty from a lot of good draft picks.
Exactly.
So, that's how we're going to conclude